Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing some beautiful Dollar Tree Easter DIYs. For this first project, we're going to be using two of Dollar Tree's 6x8 canvases. Now I'm going to remove the canvas and all the staples from the back of this first. Now my original plan was to stain these frames, but since it is Dollar Tree, you just never know what you're gonna get, and these canvas frames were actually a totally different color from each other. So I went ahead and just painted both of these white front and back. Now I want to attach these frames to each other, so I needed to cut one of these open. I just used my miter box saw and cut diagonal so that I could get these frames together, and this is how I'm going to put them together. I just used some Gorilla Glue hot glue for this, and I attached the top and the bottom, and then I closed up that corner piece where I cut it open. I needed to add some little feet to the canvas frame that is actually not sitting on the ground. So I flipped this over and I'm using some of Dollar Tree's smaller wood beads, and I'm just going to add two to the frame that is not going to be touching the ground. I also wanted to add just a little detail to the top of this, so I just dug out this little candle cup that I've had in my stash. It's from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to attach this to the top of it. But before I do that, I am taking some of my antiquing wax, and I'm going to go over those wood beads and the candle cup. I also decided to just use a large sponge brush and kind of go over the edges of the frame with some of that antiquing wax. Then I just used some Dollar Tree wood glue to attach that little candle cup to the top of these. Now, as always, for the fun part of decorating this, I'm using this little ceramic bunny that I also picked up at Dollar Tree, and I did use one of my sanding blocks and just kind of sanded down the top of that where it had the little hole so that you could hang these. And I'm going to be using some greenery. I think I got this from either Walmart or Hobby Lobby at some point. I just had it in my stash, and I took 3 little pieces and I'm hot gluing it down into this. Then to complete this, I am just hot gluing that little bunny right in the center. For this next project, I'm going to be using this egg garland that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to be using a frame. This is just one that I picked up from my local thrift store. It's a 5x7, and I want to make a little egg wreath for this frame. So originally, I removed 7 of those little eggs from the garland and painted them with 2 coats of my white chalk paint to start, but I do actually only end up using 6 of these. Now for the third coat of paint that I'm doing on these, I am mixing some of my white chalk paint with some of my apple barrel antique white because I didn't want these to be too stark white, and this just gives them more of an off-white color. So then once those are finished, I'm setting them aside to dry, and I wanted to work on the frame a little bit. I did want to add just a little bit of embellishment and detail, so I'm using these molds that I got from Amazon, and I'm just putting some hot glue in these. I actually find that the cheaper hot glue sticks work a lot better for this, so that's what I'm using, just Dollar Tree hot glue sticks, and I'm making these molds. Once I pulled them out, I'm just using some more hot glue to attach them to my frame. And I had planned on painting this with some of my white chalk paint, but I was being super lazy this day, and so I just took this outside and spray painted it with some of my Rust-Oleum white spray paint. And then here I'm just going back in with some of my European Gold Rub and Buff over all the little details. Now this may come as a surprise, but for once I am going to use the glass from this frame. But I did, of course, want to embellish it a little bit. I actually found this frosted window cling at Dollar Tree. It was in the cleaning section in my store, pretty much where all the little collapsible cube storage totes are. So I just cut a piece down that would fit my glass, and then all you have to do is spray the glass with a lot of water and then smooth this out onto the glass. Now, because you are still going to be able to see through the glass, I wanted to cover up the brown of the backing for this frame. So I just cut down a piece of cardstock to cover that up. And then I was able to just put my frame back together. I put the glass in with that frosting and then the cardstock and the backing. Now it was time to get back to finishing my eggs, so I just dipped a little stenciling brush down into some of my antiquing wax and I started flicking that onto these, but I actually found out it was much easier to just use the stencil brush to make the little speckles. And then to turn these into a small wreath for the frame, I'm just using some of this gold floral wire and I'm just pushing this up through the holes that were already in the eggs. Then to attach this egg wreath to the frame, I'm bringing back some of my gold velvet ribbon that I used at Christmas, and I'm just going to hang this over the center of the frame. I did use a little bit of tape to hold this in the center while I flip this over to the back and then just tape this down and cut the excess off. Now this next project is inspired by this bunny ears pillow from Kirkland's, and as it turned out, Dollar Tree actually has this very similar floral fabric, so I picked up 2 of those and then picked up one of the microfiber car towels that they have. And here I'm just using some regular printer paper, just 2 pieces, taped those together and then traced out a bunny head from my computer. Now I did realize that the ears were just a little too big, so I ended up cutting this template down in 3 pieces so that I could make those ears a little smaller. So once I cut it all out, I just kind of pushed those ears down behind the head a little bit and then taped it all back together. So to start, I'm actually gonna do the floral pieces of fabric first and glue those together. But right here, I just laid down my bunny head template just to figure out how big I wanted this pillow to be, and then I will cut both of those pieces of fabric down. So to glue this together, I'm actually using some of this Aleene's Fabric Fusion, and you can see I have both pieces inside out, and then I'm just going around 3 sides of this and gluing it together, leaving the 4th side open. Then I let that dry for about 2 hours. And then for the bunny head part, I just attached my template to that microfiber cloth using some of these sewing pins, and I cut this all out. Now, if you would prefer, you could definitely just trace around this bunny head with a marker or something, but I don't really like using Sharpie on this microfiber cloth because even if you cut close to it, you can sometimes still see the black part. But now, once I had it cut out, I am going to use some more of that Aleene's Fabric Fusion to attach this, just working my way from the bottom to the top of the ears. Then all that was left to do was just stuff my pillow. So I'm just using this old pillow that I've had laying around, and I'm going to cut that open, take the stuffing out, and then use that to stuff my pillow. And once I had it all stuffed, then I just folded in those edges on the 4th side and glued that together and pinned it down until it was dry. For this project, I'm using some of these ceramic eggs that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and these had initials on the front of them. All I had to do was just take a sanding block to sand those off of there. Then I'm going to go in with 3 coats of my white chalk paint on both of these. Now, recently I ordered some of these frame molds from Amazon, and I knew that it would be perfect for this project. So I'm going to use this little oval one and some of my air dry clay, and I'm going to make 2 of these for my eggs. Now, my original plan was to use some stamps and stamp the center pieces of these. These are some little bird stamps I got from Dollar Tree, and then my little Peter Rabbit stamps that I got from Amazon. And you can see here, I did go ahead and try it, but I ended up not liking the way it looked after I did it. So I do end up cutting those center pieces out and doing something different. So I grabbed my vintage scrapbook paper from Amazon, and I found this cute little muffins, crumpets, rolls, and toast ingredients page in there. So I'm just going to use my stamps on here, and then I will trace around those with my frame and cut those down. Then I'm just using a glue stick to attach these to the front of my eggs. Now, you could definitely use a Mod Podge if you wanted to, but I wasn't too concerned about the glue stick holding these on there because right here I'm using some gel super glue to attach the frames, and this will also hold that paper down. And finally, I'm going in with some of my European Gold Rub and Buff and a stencil brush, and I am doing all of the details around the frames, and then I'm just kind of patting it all over the egg as well. For my final project, I am using 2 of these larger birch wood rounds from Dollar Tree. These were the ones that have the hangings on them, the rope hangings. I just took those off and I'm just using the wood pieces. Then you'll also need a smaller birch wood round. Now this is one from a pack of 4 that I got at Dollar Tree. And then you'll need some of these new wood biscuits that they have. I'm going to be using 5 of these. Then I also picked up these little pom-poms to use for a tail. Now, since the wood biscuits from Dollar Tree don't have the birchwood edging on them, I did decide to go ahead and give all of these pieces a really light coating of white chalk paint. I even went around the edges of the birchwood pieces and just lightly coated those with white chalk paint as well, just so these could be cohesive. Then once they were all dry, it was time to put this bunny together. So I am taking the smaller wood piece and using some wood glue to attach it to one of the larger pieces. And then I'm using more wood glue to attach the other big piece onto the front side of the bunny. So basically we are sandwiching the head between the 2 body pieces. So then moving on, we are going to attach those wood biscuit pieces as the ears. I attached one going straight up, and then on the other side kind of leaned it back a little bit. Then for one of those wood biscuits, we're going to make that the front paw, and it's also going to help to stabilize the bunny. So as I'm gluing this in between those 2 body pieces, I did stand this up and make sure that I had it where I wanted it so that it could help stabilize this. Now for the last 2 biscuits, those are going to be the back feet for the bunny. And again, I am standing this up as I am gluing it to each side to make sure that it is helping the bunny stand on its own. Then finally for this project, I'm using some hot glue to attach one of those little tails. And that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed these Dollar Tree Easter DIYs. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.